30, 20, 10.
Yellow transport. Ground idle. Brake pressure C. 80 knots. 60 knots.
Hello folks, and welcome again to xp12, and as you can see, I bought another new toy. Just came out a couple of weeks ago by Just Flight, the BAE 146. And for the price, you can't beat it. If you previously owned it in xp11, you can get it for around $38. If not, I believe it sells at $44.99. And this is the cheapest add-on I've come across in xp12 for quite some time. So we're going to take it for a test flight from Tampa to Miami. Texture-wise, looks really good. The passenger cabin is pretty basic, but the cockpit did a really great job on. Let's take a look at the PDF. Here are the variants you get: the 100, the 200, the 300, and it gives you the dimensions. In this particular case, we're going to fly the 200. I think the 200 handles a little better than the 100. And there's a lot of details that come with the flight manual. It's quite a few pages long. And here are the liveries. In this case, we're going to be American Airlines. And you want to be careful when you're selecting liveries. For example, over here you have a little pop-out that you don't select a livery that is not in the variant. If you're flying the 300 or the 100, make sure that you select a livery that's included in that variant. Otherwise, you might get a crash. Now, there's not really much to complain about other than that there are some glitches with it, but for only $38, really not much you can say about that. I finally figured out what to do with the auto spoilers. I'm using a Bravo throttle quadrant, and I had to do a lot of programming to get that to work properly. The ILS and glide slope, sometimes it doesn't arm, so you want to check and make sure you're in heading mode and you're out of area navigation, RNAV, into radio navigation. It's a mistake I see a lot of people making. The heading bugs off a little bit, about 5-10 degrees to the left. I couldn't find, getting a little loud out there, I couldn't find the ground proximity warning tests button during the ground test. Maybe it's there, maybe it's not, I don't know. I see the ground test is up on the overhead up here. It's a little dark right now. I'm going to light this thing up. And I didn't see above and below. There's several tests you got to go through when you start cold and dark. So there's that. Let's see. Altitude alert button down here. When you press this, when it's powered up, I don't get a warning alarm, but it does work. And let's see. Set. All right. Oh, pressure. There's a barometric bar, which I don't use. Basically, when you're setting your field elevations or destination or cruising altitude, in this case, we're going to be cruising at 23,000. You want to make sure you set that to your cruising altitude, and then when you are getting close to your arrival point, you want to bring it back down to the field elevation that you're landing at. It was supposed to be able to pull this knob and change the baro on that, which isn't really, most of the time you leave it at 29.92, so that's not a big deal. You can increase your rate of ascent and descent around 1,000 feet a minute. So let's bring it to life and take it for a ride. All right, like always, I'm going to try to cover as many details as I possibly can. Also note that on the better pushback, don't use it. What you want to use is the X-plane pushback, generic one in ground service. You can simply select, in this case, S or Shift G. Straight, I haven't tried left or right yet, but it's an issue. Excuse me, that it won't stop where you want it to stop, and it gets lost when it tries to turn, and you wind up going in circles. So avoid that problem. Straight back, I think it works okay. Doesn't stop exactly where you want to, but make sure you have your that you're inside. You're not looking at it from the outside if you want it to stop. So there's that. We won't use that. We'll just use the X-plane pushback. So we'll stay away from this area right here. We won't mess with that. We won't be changing liveries. There's some issues there. However, the pop-ups work great. You've also got this little, looks like a bolt of lightning. If you press that, it self-starts, so you're out of the cold and dark and ready to go. The checklist, you can program a button for that. I use X, and on the TMS, thrust modulation system, you can use a key to disconnect that. Now on disconnect here over DESC, you have to be careful about that, especially when you're landing. If you were to press that, you lose the ability to add thrust if you need it. So turning the power off is generally a rule that I would follow, or just hit if you're on autopilot, just one click your take off go around button on your throttle. However, we usually go off autopilot. It's good down to about 500 feet. It's kind of like the Mitsubishi. You get lower than 500, it wants to porpoise a lot. So Cat 2's, it's certified Cat 2, but it's not really able to quite do it. You have to manually fly it down from 500 or lower. Otherwise, the nose wants to porpoise on you. I'll demonstrate that. I can't think of anything else here, so I've got a flight plan already loaded in there. Also, so I've got when you program, make sure that your spoiler has two settings on it. You have air brake. Well, it's not working now. I have to power it up. And then you have your lift spoiler. So for that to work properly, let me go into this one here. You've got speed brake, and then you've got speed brakes extend full. That's up here. See it highlighted? Make sure you've got that. Otherwise, what happens is up here it shows auto spoilers inoperative. However, they do work. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But you want to be able to just around at touchdown, you want to arm by selecting this back here. And then after touchdown, as soon as you touch, you want to take your spoiler handle and go all the way back to assure that that does deploy and stay up. Sometimes it pops up and then it goes back down again. So I'm not sure what to make of that. But again, for $38, who cares? All right, so let's bring it to life. First thing you have over here is a little pop-up, and you have this feature, Abby tab. Already got the flight plan loaded in there. And you have ground power cart. You can fire that up. Let's go ahead and put the gate on this one and open the forward door, cargo doors. That took forever. All right, you're going to get caution and warnings throughout the entire setup. You just have to cancel those out. So it's quite a bit of detail here. First of all, you can check your battery prior to energizing. And this one comes with 2 batteries, although the manual only talks about 1. You have 2 batteries in this one. Then you have your quality of service on the ground cart for DC power. You can check that. You can also check the external AC power. And then what you want to do is select batteries on. And then go ahead and make sure that that's on and connect all your bus bars. AC, DC, standby. And of course it's at night, so we'll go ahead and put on the logo. Arm the cabin. Emergency lights, and put on the nav lights and get a little bit of recirculation. Don't have the AC on yet. We'll run it on fresh air, so we'll leave this in fresh. Packs are off. Ram air is open for now. Doesn't really need to be. It's shut. On the zone temperature, I usually have it on both loops. APU air off. I always check the engine bleeds valves, make sure that they're working properly. Turn that off. Then I use the annunciation test, check all the light bulbs above on the overhead panel. Make sure it's set in the norm, and here's your first set of rheostats. You can turn up some lights inside here, brighten things up a little bit. Make sure all your heaters are off, and if you know your cruising altitude, go ahead and set that 23 for this one. Short flight, very short. You also have manual and auto mode. Make sure that's an auto. If you're going to fly in an auto, make sure your manual switch starts out at 11 o'clock. Good starting point in case you got to make some adjustments. Then on the anti-ice, everything off except for the ice detection. You want to go ahead and arm that. Fasten seatbelt signs can come on since we're already fueled up. You have windshield wipers, they work. Getting them to shut off is kind of a trick. You got to time it. And you have your taxi light. You have 2 of them, and then your runway lights, runway exit lights. Then you have your flight deck emergency lights. Arm those. Rain repellent, wash. Cancel, cancel. And down here, you can go ahead and preset your APU generator, and you can turn your galley on so you can get a hot cup of coffee, and then the engine generators are off. Now this airplane has 4 engines, so the outboard engines supply electrical power, AC/DC generator, and the inboard engines supply hydraulic. You have yellow and green. So 2 and 3 are your hydraulic, and your 1 and 4 is your electrical. Usually I will shut down the outboards if I'm running on the APU and taxi on the inboard engines with 2 and 3 with AC, hydraulic, and the PTU on. Or you could shut down 4 and 2 and taxi on 1 and 3. One of the things I forget is prior to shutting down an engine, for example, if I want to shut down engine number 4, you want to turn off the hydraulic first. I have a tendency to forget to do that. Most people do. If I want to shut down engine 3 or 2, make sure you shut down the pump that's associated with it before shutting down the engine. I'll try not to forget that. All right, over here we've got a glare shield. We can turn the lights up on that. All the fuel pumps are off. This is the fuel panel. The normal is, since I've got fuel in the center tank, I'll put it to auto. And as I burn fuel, I'll also open it, like so, and make sure that all the fuel is out of the center tank, because there's a little bit of unusable fuel that won't burn unless you do that. These are the feeder tanks, and when you get into the manual, there's a lot of details about how all this works. The center tank, the wing tanks, the feeder tanks, the annex valve that overflow, which I don't think it's similarly set, but anyway, when you start getting low on fuel, you start getting into your reserves, you're going to find that these will not be equal. All right, here again, here's your hydraulic pump for your number 2 engine and your number 3 engine. So what you want to do is go all the way to the top, go to this view. After you've come down across this way, work your way back up. Make sure your yaw dampers are on. Your AP master is on, won't work without that, and your radio avionics are on. Ignition, we'll go with B. Brake fans and auto, anti-skid, and here again the auto spoilers. Hopefully they're armed, and the yellow and green spoilers. And then what you want to do is a DC pump test. Just press, you can use battery, or I just press and hold it for about 10 seconds until that brake access low pressure light goes out. Then you can glance down here and see that you have pressure. Then don't forget to come on down here, the center console. And we'll go over the checklist after I do all this stuff. This is you've got to come up with a flow or routine. Make sure that's on. And then on this button down here, ATC, you can also put in your flight number as well. You have to do it each one independently. Enter that. We're American Airlines. We'll go AA. Where's the L at? Here we go. And we'll be flight number 153. And back to ATC. You've got two different right and left transponder. You can do the same thing over here if you wanted to. We're all good on that. I usually put an altitude off or TA only. And down here is an important one, your brake temperature sensor. Maxed out at 750, that's the test. And you want that on. And you can check your outer, inner. The main gear has the brakes, the nose gear does not. Inner, outer, put on max. We won't be using ADF tonight, but we do have some more rheostats down here. You can turn these lights up. And you can also turn up lights over here. Panel lights. A few up on this side. Another thing everybody forgets is your oxygen's shut off. So if you needed emergency oxygen, probably be a good idea to open this valve. Don't touch the one above it. That's the emergency oxygen as you drop the masks. You don't want to do that unless you have a sudden depressurization, and you can drop them from both sides. Get another one over here. We've got temperature control here in the back. Fan control. You can set that in the middle if you want to do that. The armrests go up. This seat doesn't come out all the way. I've tried it, a jump seat. Let's put that back. All right. Also, you can check your cockpit voice recorder. Press that and hold that down for test. And you can test your data recorder. That's an important one. You can set your leg, the center button. This is the date. It's the 6/6/2025. And it'll be the first leg of the day. And we're going to be 153. And press this fault light, make sure it works. Don't touch any of these unless something goes wrong. If you want to save an event, then you would do that to save so that they could refer, check out the data. So you had a hydraulic failure or something like that. Here's a ground check. I'm going to hold that on for a few seconds. Then over here on the right hand side, well, actually, let's go ahead and put the flight directors on. I always go left and right or left. The flight directors on. Also, turn the comm radios on. And the nav radios. And standby, on, hold, override. Make sure it's in on. And then over here, you've got a couple of tests you can do. This is VOR and ILS. Usually get it to go up. There it goes. Here's the altitude warning horn. Doesn't work. You can preset your altitude. We're going to go ahead and just fly right on up to 23,000 feet. Let's set that, and don't forget to arm it. Now we're flying from the left side. Now if you're going to do a Cat 2, you want it in split. You want both courses set the same, both radios set the same, both radio altimeters set the same, and it generally will give you a light up here that says Cat 2. But after you get below 500 feet, you're going to have to help it. I'll try to keep the autopilot on as long as possible and see if I can counter the porpoise effect when it gets lower. Once the nose up and nose down, it's a little bit unstable. We'll see. But for now, I'm just going to run it at nav 1, and then as I get closer, see what I can do with that. All right, that's set. And down here is your master warning system panel. You want to press that. Make sure it's all lit up, and then cancel it. You've also got this is radio navigation. This is area navigation, RNAV, and this is your TMS. You might as well go ahead and turn the power on and run it through a test. You can also do flex takeoff with it. In this case, we don't get performance from SimBrief. They don't do it for the BAE 146. I'm sure they're working on that, but I can guarantee that 40 on a night like tonight with a runway, we take it off on 19 right, more than enough to get this bird off the ground. Now it's already loaded. Make sure you're already loaded before you select takeoff. Let's go ahead and check that real quick here. All right, we got 91 passengers, and we're looking at 4619, 31601. Now you can do this in pounds or kilos. I prefer to fly this one in kilos because the fuel gauges are in kilos. And then this is the modern universal FMC, modern If you go to Navigraph, you want to be sure that you've got that updated. And you can also go with the older version. It has a AREX cycle, I think it's 2009. You don't need that if you have Navigraph. And just go into Navigraph and look for the modern FMC and update that, and it should work pretty well. Now you will have to do a little more editing with this. You have to be careful with it. Sometimes it gets a little confusing. Not exactly like the Boeing 737, but it's pretty good. You can get progress. You can get fuel burn, total fuel burn. You also, it does say it doesn't have VNAV, but VNAV does work. Not for approaches, but it gets you down where you want to be. Does a reasonably good job on descent. We'll be using it. So where was I? Okay, vibration test. It does demonstrate that. It also has a config test button down here, so you don't have to disconnect. That will work. I see I can try that. It might. Let me drop these down. Bring these up. Let's say I advance number 4. So that does work. It's one way to do it. We'll leave those Alright, and then you can configure it. That works as well. Brake's a little tricky. It wants to always go to green when you first pull it out. I haven't come up with a button for that yet. Make sure that's back to traffic. We don't have a squawk yet, but we'll make up one. Check your trims are zeroed out. Now another thing on this is don't follow the trim recommendation. If you're out of the green, when you try to take off, you're going to get a config warning. So anything in there, you have to. But the way this aircraft is balanced, this is usually works pretty well at this point here. Then you have to kind of trim it back just a bit. Here's your disconnect for your split system. If you should get a jam, if all else fails, you can pull it for elevator and pull one for aileron. You have to push the buttons and pull those out. Also, make sure your fire handles are in too as well. Okay, checking all the engine gauges and such. Make sure the flaps are up. And we can go ahead and put this to standby. This is your radar. You've got, it does do weather radar. That does work. I've tested that. And then up here, also things you want to look at is make sure that these light up, especially this one. If it doesn't, prior to approach, make sure that that does light. The only ones that won't work is VNAV and LNAV. You got another test on this side here. You can do VOR test. That's ILS. Then you can do VOR. That one doesn't work. And then you have another enunciation test over here for your flight mode. And again, you have radio navigation and area navigation. Make sure that's in order. And we're using active sky. So the conditions are 3007. I like using active sky so I can look ahead on the weather. It's convenient. Now the altimeters you have to set independently. However, when you go to standard, all you gotta do is press this little button right here and she'll go right back to standard and all the rest will sync with it, but it won't sync up. If you're, all right, that's good there. Another little thing is with the radar altimeter, if you press this and hold it for about 5 or 10 seconds, and usually the DH at runway 12, which is what I tend to land on when I get to Miami, is a little higher than this, but 200 is a good reminder to make sure that the TMS is off prior to touchdown. So I'll set 200 in there just to wake me up. We'll set that as a limit. Well, that's pretty much how I do that. Also, you can make the control wheel disappear by pressing the button. You've got a compass, it's DG enslaved. slew it. You've got your computer, it's on normal, and then your attitude indicate ADI on norm. Same over here on your compass. Slaved, slewed. Alright, check the trim, it's working fine. Now let's go ahead and set this up. This does not have an IRU, you don't have to wait for an alignment, but you do have to locate yourself. This is GPS only. So the highest of all minimums when using this. We are in Tampa. Kilo Tango. Oops, wrong one. Place it up here. Our gate number is, well, it's not really necessary. Alpha 10. And we are going to Miami. And we're going to be American Airlines. Kind of wish they had American Eagle. 153. And then we'll select a departure. It's pretty simple. I want to take off a 19 right, so I don't have to cut across, because you have it heading to 213 versus 203, I believe, when you have 540. So it's a little more convenient to take this runway. It's longer, and I'm going to do a flex, so longer taxi, but it's more convenient for this departure. So we'll go 19 right, and we want the Gandhi 8, and we want the Sebi transition. And now we'll go ahead and execute it. All right, then check it. And then what you want to do is go to the arrival page. It's just an arrival and a departure. We're going to come in on runway 12. Winds are favoring it. About 150 right now. It's going to be that all night. 12. And this is the start point. And I'm going to be coming in on Frog C. You got to give it a second. Sebi transition. Execute that. And then go to legs. And there's some editing you can do to make it a little easier. First fill in the discontinuity. So I'll be going and heading to 093. Then I got to turn left to 014. That's basically a downwind. So you can cut corners. You can bring this all the way up here and just come in at an angle, pretty decent angle on it. Save you a little time. Let's try this one. Let's try this one here. 69. Now try this one here. 80 degrees. That works out a little better. 119 and turn left to 80. Guess it's a good intercept angle. I like that. If you can get a clearance, but we'll just say we did. I'm doing it out of laziness. We go back to route. Activate again. Check your legs. Yeah, that's going to work out pretty decent. Performance. Then go to the other side. Check it, because sometimes you got to edit both sides. That looks good. Route. Performance. So, don't try enter zero fuel weight, which you have to do. I believe I showed this once before in another. I was on the 767. Just select that, and it will put your zero fuel weight in. The reserves in this is about 1.3. And then the cruising altitude, like always, 23,000 in the upper right. Cost index, I'm just going to go with 100. And skip the CG and the step size. Don't need that. Flaps 18. And here again, 6.4. If you set that 6.4, you're going to get a config alarm. And now you can go ahead and set your bugs up here. I select this one, take off. I'll have to do it again. There we go. And your takeoff bugs are set. 840 maximum temperature, 89.9. It's about 90 on the takeoff, more than enough to get off the ground. And that's pretty much how I do that. Then what you do is you go to your checklist. And it's quite a long checklist. And it's sort of all over the place. So we know we checked the gear lever and we checked the 3 green, so we select that. The radar is off on standby. The transponder is on standby, or TA only. The air brake we talked about, that's in. The flaps are up, zeroed. Navilight is on. Also the logo's on. Batteries were on and checked. It's about 26 volts. Gear down, 3 green. Brakes in the yellow and park. And just check things off, you know, because there are things you'll forget. Master switches are on. Anti-skid and lift spoilers are on. Bus ties are auto. Standby inverter armed and checked. Standby generators armed. Generator 1 and 4 is off and checked. APU generator is on. The switch is on, not the generator. The fire handles are in. The ground test was complete. Let's do the ground test. We haven't done those. So we can go up here and press all these little buttons and make noise. This is engine overspeed. I don't get a light for that. However, I do get lights for these. Engine fire. APU fire. And not that one. Stick shaker. Zone temperatures. Stall. You get a light for that. Stall 2. Squat switches. Speed warning. Speed warning. Yellow and green brake warning. High temperature. Flap malfunction. Yellow and green hydraulic system. And that takes care of that. And this ground pressure test, I've tried this. It's supposed to be a light that goes on. I don't know if you have to have the APU running with air or not. I think you do. We won't worry about it. Also pre-select, yep. It gets pretty cold in here. Right in the middle is where I start on the temperature setting. Alright, back. And we got ground test complete. External power, we're using that. APU, not yet. MWS master warning system tested. Annunciations tested. Cabin emergency lights armed. Air conditioning is preset. DC pump test complete. Next, AC and PTU on, checked, and then off again. We did that. Thrust levers, did the config. AC pump, PTU off. Continuous ignition, generally in icing or severe weather and turbulence. Most of the time that's left off. Don't use that often. Some people like to use it, but don't use it unless you really need it. Engine anti-ice is on. Now, I don't know why that is. Let me go down here. During shutdown and prior to start, they want engine anti-ice on. I'm not sure what the reason is for that. Heaters are off. Wing and tail ice protection is off. Engine air is off. Flight deck emergency lights are armed. Control disconnect handles are in. Yaw dampers are both on, including the autopilot. And the autopilot is off. Then over here before it starts, safety exterior check. That's the walk around. That should come back earlier. This is kind of out of sequence. We did the yellow temperature check, pressure test. Thrust levers off. Hydraulics are all off. Fuel panel was checked and set. Pressurization set to 23,000 feet, 5,500 cabin altitude. Ice detection is on. Lights and notices, seatbelt signs on. Yeah, that's air conditioning is preset. Fasten seatbelt sign. Flow meters are zeroed out down here. Flight data recorder is set, checked. Nav aids, let's go with 1640. That's St. Pete. And 1390 down here. That's Dolphin. Altimeter's set 3007. It's still holding, I believe. And And wind's got 270. A little bit of a crosswind. Briefing complete. MSW check. And the TMS is set. Okay. So that's all the details there. Now let's go ahead and fly this thing. We'll go ahead and close the cargo doors. To do this right, you should have this hydraulic on. Make sure you got pressure. Because realistically, you can't close the... Well, actually you can. The stairs aren't down, so it's really not necessary. And the gate, we'll wait a pushback. I'm not going to get rid of the gate because the bell never shuts off, so it's very annoying. So close the cargo door. Make sure everybody's in their seats. The cabin is secure. And power up the APU. And turn on the rotating beacon. And we've got brake pressures. Remove the chocks. Wait for the APU. Also, it runs off the inner pump, so you get rid of the low fuel warnings. As you get ready to start, go ahead and turn on all your fuel pumps. And let's check APU air and the packs. Oh, wrong one. That's recirculation. No, that's fine. There we go. And look at your pressures. Now, since we'll be using the APU to start, we'll have to shut those off. All right, let's go back to this one here. APU and external. Oh, we got to shut the external power off. Go ahead and hit off up here and shut this down. Beacon's on. And we'll go ahead and we'll shut that off before we start it. Engine anti-ice is on. AC pump is on. Did that. Fuel pumps are on. That's done. Start to normal. Here's your start. Oops, what am I doing there? All right, start master is on. I go from right to left. So I'll start with engine number 4. And we'll go ahead and push and start. And just do straight back.
Tampa International Ground. 6 Oscar Victor. Request pushback straight back.
November 956 Oscar Victor. Stand by. Pushback tractor is on the way.
I'm going to see if releasing the brakes releases the jetway. Otherwise, the next plane, it just wants to sit there and ring that bell. You have to be a little bit patient with pushback for X-plane. Tends to wander around a little bit. There he comes. You can program your own views using the control numerical button. I have 0 for passenger, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Commencing pushback. Detach the jetway.
Oh, I guess not.
Disconnect. Pushback completed.
This is a little bit annoying. All right, that's good. And now we can start. So before we start, we turn the packs off. APU air is off. Master start switch on, engine select number 4. Then I go from this view here. Go ahead and get these ready to click. And start engine number 4 by pressing start. Then observe N2 is above 15 or greater. And light it up. And watch your EGT climb. Your oil pressure pops up. N2 and fuel flow. Let it stabilize. To ground idle, which is around N2 50, 51. And that's a good start. Then go to the engine number 3. Press the button again. Again, 15 or greater. Light it up. TGT, oil pressure, temperature, and fuel flow. Let it stabilize. And that's a good start. And go to engine number 2. Start button. N2 15 or greater. Light it up. TGT, oil pressure, temp, and fuel flow. It's pretty quiet. They call it the whisper jet. That's a good start. And finally, engine number 1. 15 or greater. Light it up. TGT, oil pressure, temp, and fuel flow. Now once you're satisfied you've got a good start on all 4 engines, you can go ahead and select that thing off, 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 APU air back on, packs back on, don't forget that. Leave the engine bleeds off for now. Turn on your heaters, 2 clicks for the battery, and we don't need engine anti-ice now. You can now shut those off. 2 clicks on the right generator, 2 clicks on the left generator. Turn the AC pump off momentarily. Check engine 3 hydraulics, good. And engine 2 hydraulics, good. And I go back to this view here. Brake hydraulics are still good. And then I turn on the AC pump and the power trend. Now you can go to auto, except if you have a pump failure, you won't know it's not working. So we'll go ahead and put this on. Power transfer on. PTU. That's your backup. And then we'll go back to the checklist. We can start checking things off. Done this. All right, start power back to normal. The start power switch is over here. There's AC, DC, external power. There's also the cold start. I haven't done that procedure yet. Most of the time it's left in the norm position. Engine anti-ice, don't need it. Generators are on. Brake fans in the auto are on Yeah, it's auto. I leave it in auto. Hydraulics are on. Heaters are on. APU engine air as required. We're going to use that for takeoff and landings. The packs and cabin air is required. TMS is set. The doors are closed. Equipment is removed. Transponders on TA only. And let's give us a squawk here. We got a clearance. Let's say we'll be 3315. Enter. So that's done. And then before takeoff, we've already done this once already. We'll do it again. Check that. Make sure you've got pressure on both sides. Flaps down 118. Flight instruments, we check those. Check them again. Make sure that's all good. Cross-check your altimeters. And do a control check. It's not on the list, but it's there. Just make sure the controls are free and clear. Rudder. It's good. Flight directors are on. The trim is set. You want to set it back as far as possible on the green. Config was checked. Just release the brakes, then hold the brakes. That's good. We're not going to use continuous ignition. Cabin is secure. Radar is on standby. AC pump is now on. Lights and strobes, not yet. So we're just getting ready. Just turn on the taxi lights. Clear left, clear right. Let's proceed to runway 19 right. Goose the throttles up. Get it rolling first forward. Then slowly start your turn. We'll jog over to the outer taxiway, get out of everybody's way. Clear right, clear left, turn left. Another button you want to program on your flight controls is a sync button. It's under control wheel steer. Control wheel steer. Not A or B, it's just plain control wheel steer, and what you can do is you can sync your flight director for pitch control. You're going to need that. And I'd also assign a key to the TMS to shut it off. I use Z. Taxi's pretty fast. It's pretty quiet inside. You will hear it though. I've got this set, the volume set up pretty loud on this one. Oh, we're gonna go ahead and take Alpha. Cut across. Been raining off and on quite a bit. And let's see, over here we'll jog over to Bravo. Tap the brakes a little bit, make sure we got brakes. And look right, look left, turn left. Now you'll find that your pitch on this, you want to stay between 10 and 15. Don't let it get up as high as 20, especially on a D-rated takeoff. Go ahead, set that heading bug. I want to be a 203, I believe. Double check that. Yeah, 203. Make it right here. Winds at 270 at 6, 3007. I'm going to go ahead and select area navigation on my side, radio navigation on the right side. And I'll put this on heading. And at 540 I'll turn to that heading. Or 500 and above. Do a config check on any engine, you can just rev it up. Whoa, a little too much there. And we'll hold short of 19 right, do a few last minute checks before we pull out. The clock does work, it is accurate. I'm not going to use it for a short flight like this, but you can run a lapse time with it. And we'll come to a stop right here. Alright, lights and strobes. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and pull out. Strobes in the center. TMS is set. Controls are checked. Auto brakes or auto fans are working. And transponder should be TA. Well, let's align. Clear right, clear left. And select landing lights. And we're cleared for immediate takeoff, no delay. So we'll keep rolling. Power up to 40. And another thing you can do is this. Put this over here to the side. Increase power slowly. Don't jam it. Press forward on the stick.
TMS sets takeoff.
Wait for the call out and then continue to advance the throttles until the lights go out.
Speed alive, both sides. Power set 80 knots cross-checked.
And just keep your eyes focused down the end of the runway. Wait for the call.
V1. Rotate.
And ease it up.
V2.
10, then 15.
Positive rate of climb, gear up.
Gear up. I don't need that thing. Then I start to accelerate. And I get on the heading. Sink the pitch. Try to get it trimmed. And then select the autopilot. Reset the altitude. And pitch it down a little more. To about 5. Hold that right there. We want to target 220 knots. Sink it. And goose the throttles up a little higher.
The FTO, safe height speed, select flaps up.
And now we're going to go direct. And go to LNAV. And they indicated airspeed. Then turn your engine bleeds on. APU air off. Check pressurization. And we're done with the APU. Now gradually we'll target 250 knots. He likes to climb at 250. Alright, gear up, lights out, flaps are up, TMS is on sync, engine air is on, APU air off, packs on, pressurization checked. Altimeters right now, we're local 3007. And we can now turn the AC pump off. And And the PTU can now come off. Brakes, auto fan, APU stop, ice protection is required, lights and notices. And that's that. Now I'm going to speed up a little bit. I'm going to target 250. When I get above 7,000. Press sync, push down a little bit. It's about 5. Hold that. Deselect indicated airspeed. And you have this little dot here. Call that dot speed. When that gets there, I'll go back to indicated airspeed. Now I have sound control up here. I can turn this down a little bit. So it's a little bit more of a workload to fly this bird. A lot of old school. Approaching 10,000 feet and 250 knots. Turn these lights off and turn off the logo. And to turn off lights if you use them. At 10,000 we should just be right about be around 250 knots. Increase power just a little bit. Sudden wind shift. About 94. Indicated airspeed. Now brace yourself, it's pretty loud outside. Here we go. No, I can't remember if the xp12 version had wing flex on it or not. I don't think this one does. I don't believe it does. But it seems to like to climb and descend at 250 knots and cruise at about 280. You'll find you spend most of your time between 20 and 30,000 feet. This particular variant has a range of just over 1,000 nautical miles. I think it's 1,200. I recommend that you read the manual more than once. There's a lot of details in there. Our approach and transition. Now, when I press this little one right here, they will all sync 2992. Now, it is possible to smoke these engines, so I use the N1. I limit it to about 95, 96. 840 max on temperature. You got various settings. You can go to continuous. I like mash to 1 and 1. You can go to your target speed. That'll bring it up. MCT, maximum continuous thrust. This one's good for descending rapidly, but you can just as easily just pull the throttles back to idle. It goes to flight idle. You don't want to do that though when you're down to 200 feet. Otherwise you'll lose whatever thrust you're carrying, and I found out the hard way and had a pretty hard landing when I just connected that. 19,000, we're going all right, between 1,500 and 2,000 feet a minute. But make sure you're in the right mode when you're using this, area nav versus radio nav. Common mistake, I made it many times. 20,000. Short flight like this, you just go up, level off, then start heading back down. Thousand to go. Did get an altitude alarm. Well, that's interesting. I go to V speed. There she goes, leveling off. Then we'll target 280. We can bring this up. Go to vertical nav, 55 to go, and we start heading downhill. Check our progress, 6.4 estimated. And we burn 0.4, 0.4, 0.4. Calculated 7.4, total hours is 7.9. Now what you want to do to burn the rest of that gas out of there is select transfer. And it should suck all the fuel out. See it going down? And now we've used up all that. We go ahead and put this back to shut. We don't need it anymore. Getting a little bit fast, we'll throttle back. Not too much, it's very fine adjustments, very fine. What about 0.67? And remember, you don't have auto throttle, so you have to kind of constantly keep monitoring your power. .35 to go, and we'll head downhill. Another thing people forget a lot is to make sure that the active nav aiders you're going to use, the radio-wise, is on the top. If you don't, she won't lock on. You'll see it armed, but the you won't be able to lock the glide slope. Optimum altitude for this particular one was 29,000. We're at 23. Maximum was 30,000. I recommended 29,000. That's just too high for this short a flight. We're 92, 91 nautical miles from Dolphin VOR, which is just west of the field. We're almost there. Hopefully I'll be able to get these ground spoilers to work. Assuming that they're inoperative, I'll have to do it manually. About 10 miles out from top of descent, I'm going to slow this thing down to 250 knots. I think I'll start this at 3,000 feet. Yeah, it's time to start heading downhill. So I'll go ahead and select VNAV. And she'll start descending. And I'll adjust power. Try to stay at around 250 knots all the way down. Now the heading bug's a little off, so when you go from lateral nav to heading, you're going to notice about a 5-10 degree discrepancy. You'll have to adjust for that. All right, also you want to make sure you got field elevation set, which is right about there. Give it time to do its thing. Go to initial reference. You can't enter these manually, so you just have to select what's in there. And I'll wait on them a little bit lower before I set the bugs. Get a more accurate weight. We can look ahead and see what the weather's doing in Miami. 3008, 140 at 4. The DH is higher on this one. It is 377. Radar altitude 368. Go 370. And I make minor power adjustments all the way down. Another thing, on descent, you want your PTU on. Pressurization set. Briefing, we know what we're going to do. Ice protection, don't need it. Landing data, we got that in there. Got the altimeter set. And so as not to forget, I'm going to go ahead and switch this back on. Check brake on the left, and then check the green on the right, and that's good to go. No lights, no warnings. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get a target speed in there. We're going to go flaps 33. That's 115. Set that. And then you have to manually kind of set this. Take these two. And that one, there's my 5-knot correction. Eventually we're going to target 220 knots as we get lower. Power back a little bit. Now the APU operation for start and stop, I believe, is 15,000 feet. So I won't start until we get below 10,000. And monitor the differential pressure and the cabin altitude. It should both should zero out. And you can increase the rate by dialing this up a little bit. About 1,000 feet a minute. And this is a nice little feature here, having your Abby tab. You can kind of use it as a way to radar vector yourself back, around. We're going to be landing on this runway, so we'll be coming at kind of an angle. Starting from here at 250 knots, between 11 and 9,000 feet. I'll speed it up just a little bit. All right, approaching 10,000. We'll go ahead and put our landing lights on. And we'll go ahead and put on the logo. Seatbelt signs. And start slowing down again. All right, we're below 10,000 feet. Check the altimeter, 3008. Go ahead and power up the APU. And I can see the airport out there in the distance. And gradually slow down to 220 knots as we descend. A little chime says the APU is available. APU air on. And I usually shut the engine bleeds off below 10,000 feet. And when we hit 220, we'll go to indicated airspeed. All right, we're going to go to IS. Continue our descent. And this looks like a pretty good I'm going to select heading. Oops, a little off there. See how it goes off when I go back to this heading here. And then do not forget, go to nav. Make sure that that works. It should light up. Here we're getting in range. See, the bug's off quite a bit. I want to slow this down to about 200 knots. Look at IAS. A little bit of air braking. Okay, glide slopes coming in view here. Let's go and select GSL and VOR lock. And we're going to intercept right about here. So I'm going to drop it to 2,000 feet. Stay below the glide slope. Pretty decent intercept heading.
Glide slope is armed.
Just to pitch up just a little bit, shallow it out. About 1,000 feet a minute.
Localizer captured.
And there's the runway.
Speed checked below 205. Select flaps 18.
And we'll start off at 160 knots. Thereabouts before we intercept it. You have to power into it, about 60 and 1.
Glide slopes alive. 1 dot to go.
And hopefully, if it lights, it should follow it.
Glide slope captured.
All right, power back. We'll get about 2,500 or lower. I'll drop the landing gear. I'll use air brakes when I get down to about 1,000 feet. All right, landing gear down.
Speed checked below 180. Established on the flaps 24.
Things happen fast. And go flaps 30.
Speed check below 145. Select flap 33.
Flaps 33. And you want to power into it. You'll see what I'm talking about as it gets lower and lower. Of course, this is a Cat 1, so it's just a little over 120 knots. Missed approach altitude is set. Now, next plane, you got to be ready to lose when you lose that headwind with power. Okay, at 1,000 feet, I'm going to go ahead and shut off the TMS by selecting Z. And then what I'm going to do, open the air brakes, power up. For a steep approach, you'd want to do that. That helps us slow down fast. All right,
Autopilot disconnected.
disconnect the autopilot.
Minimums 400.
Speed alive, both sides. Ground idle. Yellow and green spoilers.
And that's how I do that.
Brake pressure seen. 80 knots. 60 knots.
We'll take the next one. Not too bad. And we'll look at that again as soon as I pull off here. Go ahead and stow the brakes. And we'll won't do anything else. We'll leave everything as is. Come to a near stop when I get right about here. That's good right there. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the replay. This is Control R, and we'll just put it in reverse. Shift 2 to get a ground view of it once we get down here a little bit. Right about there. And we'll go ahead and go to forward. Get rid of that. Make sure that those problem I was having earlier was I couldn't get the ground spoilers to work. They'd come up and then they'd go back down again. Nice soft landing. And they work. Okay, not bad. Not too bad at all. A little off the center line, but it's a small plane.
Don't sink. Don't sink.
All right, let's
Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't sink.
park this thing.
Don't sink. Don't sink.
Flaps up. And landing to taxi. Don't need turn-offs. Strobe is off. Yeah, let's make a left here. Now, thing I forget to do, I want to shut down engine 4. And I want to shut down engine number 3. No, engine 2. Then shut them down. Make sure these are all the way back to idle. And taxi on 1 and 3. But make sure your power transfer unit is on PTU, and you should have also the AC pump. And let's go ahead and goose up the throttles a little bit. Back to the checklist. Yes, the gear was down. Yellow, lights, flaps. Good. Run on APU. Brakes are in. Flaps up. TMS is off. Radar is standby. It should be. I didn't use it. No weather tonight. Transponder should be on. TA or altitude off. No continuous ignition tonight. Air conditioning on APU. Engines as required. Taxi on 1 and 3. You'll find the checklist is useful. And you'll want to use it as much as you can to really get familiar with it, because I forget a lot of things. We'll make a right-hand turn here. We're going to park Vector 60 Mike. Oh, over here. Shit. Going the wrong direction. Better get the map out. Yeah, I want to head over this way. Okay, we're all right. We're okay. I don't usually come in on that runway. Penalty box. That's interesting. Yeah, make it right on November. I'm gonna park. Put my turn-off lights on. You'll be able to see better. And that gate right there. It's not really a gate. It's more of a stand. Looks like it rained. Right about there is good. Put the brake on. We can get to work. All right, brake is on. Make sure these are in idle. And we are here. That off. Leave the nav and the logo on. Seatbelt sign can come off. Power transfer unit, we do not need that. And I forgot to shut off the hydraulics and the generator again. Second time I've done that. That's a no-no. All right, let's go ahead and hook up ground power. Put the chocks in, open up the cargo doors. And in this case, we're going to drop the stairs. Let everybody out. Flight director's off. And open the door. And then as you dial down the passenger count, the noise in the back will gradually become silent. It gets quieter and quieter. And you can even empty all the cargo. I mean, it's adequate, you know. What really counts is what's in the cockpit. All right, shut down. Brakes yellow. Taxi exterior lights are off. Should be. I'm going to turn all the lights off. I'm going to secure it. So we turn off the logo. We'll shut that off. Shut off the nav light. Turn off the fans. APU air is off. Should be off. APU should also be off. Shut that off there. Make sure that that's on. Pressure, yeah, it's already depressurized. All zeroed out. 104, so you gotta remember to shut those generators off. Fasten seatbelt sign is off. Brake fans, we're gonna go ahead and shut those off too. How hot are we? 48. Turn all this stuff off too. Engine anti-ice. You always want that on, but we're going to leave it off because we're shutting down everything. Heaters need to be off. Turn that off. Beacons off. Good. Stow the transponder. Then we'll go to the next page. Shut off the radios. Make sure the oxygen's off. I forget all the time. And then we'll go up here and shut off all the other stuff. Master. Yaw dampers. And that's off, and that is off. All the fuel pumps are off. Galley shed. Lights are off. Make sure all these are disconnected. Off, right? And select these to off. And we'll close the doors in case it rains tonight. Where is it? So there it is, the BAE 146 by Just Flight Thunder design for xp12. Add-ons are slow but sure, and this is probably the best one for the price you're going to get yet. I enjoy flying it. You will have to spend some time in it. It's different, but it's a lot of fun. I prefer to fly the 200 over the 100. I think the 200 handles a little bit better, a little extra range. Seats about 107 passengers, give or take. Avco Lycoming, what is it, 502R turbofans, about 1,200 pounds a piece. Put about 6,800 pounds of thrust, 6,500 there, depending. You can do D-rate takeoffs with it. You can use vertical nav to a limited extent. It is GPS only. It does not have an IRU. So your minimums are maxed if you're trying to do a RNAV approach. You'll find you'll do a lot of it manually from 500 and below. Cat 2 will activate, but you'll want to intervene long before you get down to your DH. Texture wise, I've got this set pretty average here. Where am I at here? On graphics. Frame rates are running about 34, 35, sometimes higher. I don't know why they're lower. They're usually up around 40. Could be weather, clouds, who knows. So folks, I hope that was helpful. Different view here. I recommend it highly. The price is right. And as always, thanks for watching. See ya on the next one.